We've got the Rocket, and we've got Mr. K Clutch. Kody Clemens showing that he might be deserving of a permanent spot on the Phillies roster. Welcome to PHLY Phillies podcast. Tyler Zulli, Jamie Lynch, myself, Renee Washington. We've got a lot to recap as we're looking back on the weekend. The Phillies get yet another series win, another sweep. That is 14 consecutive series that the Phillies have won since dropping the first two of the season. As you know, the Phillies also haven't lost back-to-back games since losing back-to-back against the Reds in late April. Listen, the Phillies are on a tear right now. It's been fun to see, and what makes it even more fun, as we're going to get to talk through today, it's not the usual suspects. Yes, they are also contributing. We'll talk about the pitching. We'll talk about throughout the lineup who's been big and who's, maybe been just rolling along. And, of course, in recapping the games, that leads us to talking about Bryson Stott, Kody Clemens, and much more. But, Jamie, we had a fun weekend. Before we even talk about the games themselves, we got a chance, all of us, to hang out at Citizens Bank Park on Saturday. Of course, Sunday was the better weather-wise day. And even
Sunday was
a lot more runs that were scored. Not going to lie, I was looking at that game like, that was pretty exciting. But Saturday, a nice win, extra innings yet again. And we got a chance to hang out at the ballpark.
Yeah, it was an awesome time.
Our crew.
We got to meet some of the diehards. Shout out Dr. Blah and Trizzolini, who were able to make it down. Big shout out to Olipop and Cavs Catering for throwing a great party. I think we have a lot of Olipop converts as we were dishing out cans to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, hey, this one goes good with tequila, too.
Yeah.
So big shout out to them. It was a great night to go in the game after an awesome tailgate. And, we all got to sit together. I got to meet your parents, Mr. and Mrs. Washington, which was great. And the best part of it all was the cap on the game. I mean, when you're a good baseball team, you find ways to win games. And the Phillies just didn't go away, and they found a way to win games. And I heard Tom McCarthy mention this yesterday. Are they calling Kody the Missile? Is that the official nickname?
I like K Clutch, but I'll go with the Missile. I mean,
Because
Rocket Missile. Like,
Missile,
I totally get it. I get it. It's cute.
Yeah, I think
cute.
you're gonna lose. I think it's the Missile.
Roger, Kody, let me know. I mean, I think K Clutch, and his name being KC, you get it? Like,
yeah. No, I think they're gonna go with the
okay.
Missile. I did tag our new friend Roger Clemens in the show tweet today, so hopefully, Raj, if you're watching after your son's great weekend, yeah, he's one of the major discussion points because he's been freaking phenomenal.
So good.
He's been really good. You didn't have a left-handed bat. He's a super utility type of kid. And he's shown he's clutch, albeit in a very small sample size, but he's not intimidated by any moment that he's stepping up into the batter's box. I mean, that was a really good pitch that he went down and got. And this kid is making Dave Dombrowski in the front office, I think, weigh all options here as they go forward.
So here we are again, another situation where a guy was called up because of an injury. We saw this with Spencer Turnbull, who we just expected was just going to be a temporary placeholder while Taijuan Walker was working back. And we see it yet again as Trey Turner when he went down in the first week of May. And we get the call up for Kody Clemens, that Kody has now forced us to have these tough conversations. And what I love about the way that he's playing is he also is adding in everything that we've been looking for. You talk about that versatility piece. I mean, Kody has the ability to be the emergency catcher. First base, second base. He can play anywhere. He can play in the outfield. He can literally play anywhere. And so now it leads to the question of how can you work him in to have a bigger role and, more importantly, have a roster spot? Because you look at the numbers for Kody. Now, as we know, this past weekend, major opportunity for him. Called up Saturday, 2 outs, game on the line, down, and Kody gets the game-tying run, smashes a home run. It was a beauty. It was great to see as he hit that 413-foot home run on Saturday, a 106.6 mile per hour blast, forced the extra innings. And in that moment, Kody Clemens absolutely solidified himself and won everybody over, because prior we've already been talking about him being sneakily really good when he's called up. The numbers that he's had in his games prior to Saturday were very good, but this weekend was that like turning of a corner where you look at him and you're like, okay, no, Kody is the real deal. The numbers that he's putting up are fantastic. In the last 2 games, in his 7 at-bats between Saturday and Sunday, 3 runs, 4 hits, 2 doubles, that 1 home run, which could not have come at a more clutch time, 3 RBIs, and then overall for this season, when you look at every time he's been called up, he's made a big play. Whether coming in as a pinch hitter or just being able to get the start, every game that Kody Clemens has stepped on the field for the Phillies, it's been fantastic to have 28 at-bats, 7 runs. You do that math, 28 at-bats, and you've got 7 runs in every game that you've played this season. You're scoring a run in like a quarter of your times. You have 9 hits, 3 home runs overall, 10 RBIs, and 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, batting average at a 321, a 345 OBP, and slugging at an 821. Kody Clemens is showing us it's not a fluke, it's not a one-time thing, and put some respect on my name, include me in the roster conversations because I'm here to stay. That's what I got from this.
At least until Trey Turner's back. Unfortunately, the reality of the situation is Cody's the only guy with options left. I think he's earned his chance to be a major league player without a doubt. But I would highly doubt, in talking to Tyler and talking on our Discord, people were like, well, just DFA Pache. You might be able to get him back. And I was like, I really don't think you will. I think if you DFA him, he's gone. So I do think the Phillies most likely are going to try to move him, maybe for like a low arm pitcher or cash or something, because, look, you need a lefty off the bench. I mean, we've talked about that going back to December. And Kody Clemens has stepped up, and, it's a small sample size still, but he's taken it. And he got rewarded yesterday starting second base. Rob said Trevor Williams, Whit Merrifield stinks right now. We're not going to go righty on righty. Get out there, kid. And he goes out there again and 2 doubles. I mean, his OPS is 1.166. That's unbelievable. The kid's been on an absolute tear. He's earned a job. I just don't think it's going to happen in the near future. Well, it's the way the baseball's played. The person with options is usually the shortest straw, deserving or not. So we'll see what happens. But he's definitely made Dave Dombrowski and Sam Fold sit down and go, all right, like, damn, this kid's earned it. He had a tremendous spring training. Now he's his second trip up. He stepped up both times in Cincinnati on the road trip when Bryce was on paternity. Now. I mean, it's a real deal. He's got some pop. He can play all over the place. He's kind of a perfect bench piece. So, Kody Clemens is going to be on this roster, I think, permanently at some point this season after the trade deadline. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what people are saying in the chat because I want to give you guys some love, especially Ray, who was first today, did beat out Slem to be first in the chat, talking about how I know Ray and Chris are both mentioning Kody's the man, and yes, he absolutely has earned a permanent spot. I know also Mickey, you've got Mickey's here, Matt Deckert, John Lemmerman as well, talking about the Braves. John Lemmerman, I love it, bringing in the talking about the Braves, and they're continuing to it's laughable at times right now.
What was that 5-game lead? You said that was a 5-game lead on May 20th?
K-Red, of course, as always, loves to showcase and give his thoughts on the fashion of the fits. He's saying that he likes the fits today. Your shirt is not very camera friendly with the stripes, but does like the fits for us. And thank you. This is actually a short sleeve sweater that I'm rocking.
Flops. There you go, K-Red.
But yes, I know Dave P's claiming he identified Kody first. John's still talking about the Braves. Let us know what you guys would do. John's also mentioning DFAing Pache, as you talked about. That has been something that's been brought up.
I think he's got a little enough value that they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get a lot for Christian Pache. I'm not sitting here like, oh, you got to milk it and get it. No, you're just, why lose the kid when you could potentially get something? And they might target like some kid that throws 100 miles an hour and can't throw strikes like George Clausen and hope to develop him and get him in the system. So they're not going to give away Pache. I just find that
exactly. He will
business.
Get grabbed and snagged fast, and definitely needing a lefty bat does unfortunately make this situation even more difficult. But when you look at John has a good point, and I actually had this written down in my notes after this weekend of like, is Kody Clemens showing up the way that we thought Whit Merrifield would? He's younger. He's in a whole different spot in his career in general. but he is showing to be that ultra utility piece that the Phillies were looking for in Whit Merrifield. And John's mentioning in the chat, I wish they had a time machine to not do the Whit signing. But that's how it goes sometimes. Like, you have this plan, and I still think Whit will work out in time, I hope. I'm a little nervous, but I do feel like Kody has been that utility piece that the Phillies need. And now the question becomes, what is his role? And something that I was reading this weekend that was brought up is the fact that Kody Clemens, of course, has that versatility. Not only can he play in the infield, which is unfortunate because the Phillies infield is locked. You're not
stepped up too,
but correct. But also, Kody Clemens has played. We saw this spring in spring training, he played 8 innings in left field, and we've also, of course, seen him in right field for the Phillies. He played 8 innings in right field for the Phillies last season. But the majority of his time with the Phillies has been at first base. So I love the fact that he can be that infield backup. But I know it was mentioned and even brought up to Rob Thomson about considering using him in a corner outfield spot. And Rob mentioned possibly, yeah, anything's possible. Kody mentioned he's always ready. He's got all his different gloves, whatever is needed. He's got a bunch of gloves in his locker. So whatever position they need him, he'll be ready. And maybe this is a chance you send him, when you do send him back, it shouldn't be any time too soon because you don't have to rush Trey Turner back. Get him some reps maybe at outfield and see what's possible for the future for Kody, if he can be someone that can help as an outfielder in a corner spot, maybe right field as a backup, maybe for Nick.
Castellanos is the only guy in Major League Baseball that gets to dictate how many games he plays. I'm not trying to, but it's just, you don't have anybody in right field because you play Castellanos every game.
Right.
And which, look, durability and, being able to play every game is an asset for sure. And Nick looks like he's better.
Yeah, we saw
he jumped on
nice
a first pitch
Sunday.
yesterday.
Correct.
Yeah, kind of kept the rally going. He's looking a little more aggressive. Hopefully just shut that brain off and go back to what got you here type of thing. But yeah, they don't really have a ton of people to play right field. So yeah, if you are going to send him down, maybe throw him out in the outfield a little bit more. Completely agree with that. Get him some reps because I do think he's going to be here. Obviously, even beyond the extended roster come September.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be here after the trade deadline and All-Star break full time. The kid's earned it. So, Roger, kudos to your son. He has taken an opportunity and ran with it. They needed a left-handed bat, and, he stepped up.
Yeah, and I love the fact that he even stepped up yesterday. We saw gets the call. He was 0 for 2 against left-handed pitchers, gets the call in the game. Game's all tied up. Rob had confidence in him. He said he had the choice of, possibly going to Sosa, but instead went to Kody there, and Kody did deliver and started what ended up being a really major change for the Phillies in that game. That you look in the 5th and 6th inning, they score 6 of their runs in that 2-inning stretch, and Kody was a big part of that. Delivered again. Rob said he trusted him because he had the hot hand, the hot bat at the moment, and it was great to see even in that moment to get a hit against, a left-handed pitcher that the Nationals brought out, whose name I'm forgetting as right now, but doesn't matter, irrelevant. And that Kody was able to even show there that he can get a hit against a left-handed pitcher. So I just feel like he has a lot of that, the right mentality, and this is part of being the son of the Rocket.
Jacob Barnes that came in?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
That was an all backfire there, Davey Martinez. Oof.
To be the son of Roger, anybody that's the child of a big name superstar athlete, sometimes they don't handle that pressure well. And you can see where Kody has taken it on his shoulders of whatever's necessary, however I can help the team, whatever I can do to help. And in that moment, it was actually Robert Garcia.
Oh, it was Garcia.
That the Nationals brought out of the bullpen, and Kody delivered. Instead of having to go to Sosa, yet again, Rob made a tough decision, and it paid off. So great to see Kody continuing to step up in moments.
Yeah, and speaking of Rob, I saw this, I believe it was Luke Aracini on Twitter had it, and there's another stat we'll get to praising Rob for his allowance of, or the handling of the starting rotation and in terms of how many innings they're going and all that. But since taking over the job, the Phillies, including the postseason under Rob Thomson, are 211 and 140. He took over on June 3rd, 2022. 211 and 140. That is really, really impressive. I know at times we'll, pick a bullpen over management or under management or whatever and bitch and moan. And the old Earl Weaver saying is, a manager can win you or lose you 7 to 9 games a year. Well, there's times that we'll do that, but the baseline is Rob Thomson's really good for this team. If you want to call him a good manager, I think that's more than fair. But this team responds to him. He knows what buttons to push. And I mean, the proof is in the pudding. 211 and 140 is really freaking good. And I know he has a tough or a good roster, but guess what? Every good manager in baseball typically has a good, it's rare that guys go down to Florida and overachieve or go down to Tampa and overachieve with some of these rosters. But Dave Roberts in LA, guess what? He's got a really good roster. Brian Snicker in Atlanta has a really good roster. So you can't use it. Rob's really good. He's really good.
I mean, as you mentioned, you love the proof is in the pudding. You love that.
Proof is in the pudding. I don't even know what the hell that means.
I don't know why that's a saying. But I guess let's
get to the bottom of that.
I get it. Like, who came up with the proof? I always wonder who comes up with these. But it's a really great point you bring up because we do take for granted some of the success that's happening right in our own backyard.
Like to know?
Oh, you actually found that fast?
Well, just the dictionary snippet. The proof is in the pudding is an expression that means the value, quality, or truth of something must be judged based on direct experience with it or on its results. So I guess it just means like you can't pass a bad pudding. Like you're going to taste the pudding and go, oh, this is shit or this is good.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
But I don't know who chose pudding.
Yeah, like why not Jell-O?
Are you a pudding person?
I love pudding.
Skeeves me.
Oh my gosh, I love pudding. I love all the puddings.
Yogurt
the
skeeves
vanilla
me.
pudding, the chocolate pudding, the chocolate vanilla. There's like a milky.
Oh, Tyler.
There's like a milk chocolate pudding.
Are you a pudding
I love
man?
every
It's
pudding.
fine. I mean, I don't hate it nor love it. It's fine.
Oh, I actually buy pudding. You've never seen me eat pudding, you guys?
No, there's better options.
I think
than
there
that.
was a teacher I had in like 5th grade, and I was like, it was like math, and she was mean, and she would always just like slurp pudding.
Ew.
And I think it just turned me off for life. But like cottage cheese, yogurt, pudding, like that kind of, I don't know.
Is it the texture?
I think it's the texture, yeah.
See, obviously I don't like cottage cheese, but I love
My girls love
pudding,
it.
Jell-O,
Jell-O I like.
parfaits, like anything like that. Like I love those
Parfaits look like they'd be awesome, but I can't, the smell of yogurt, I'm just.
Maybe you should make your own. You don't like any yogurts?
No. And pudding and yogurt are like cousins. I mean, not in like substance, just in like texture and like.
Okay,
kinda,
texture is the same for sure.
Just
That's
like
interesting.
Yeah,
I'm officially a weirdo. What is up with pudding? I can't believe you guys have never seen me eat pudding. I pack my lunch for work because why not? My parents are proud.
I thought I was your snack pack.
And oh, okay. I heard it. You did good. You did. That
You
was
can help
clearly,
me shave my armpits.
That's the grossest thing I've ever heard. Everybody on the bus.
Oh, Dave.
Your brother would have gotten that one. I thought I
Billy
was
Madison.
your snack pack.
I know.
There you go.
I know.
There you go.
Proud
Matt
of you,
Decker
Renee.
got
That's
it.
because low key, like you guys are probably would be best friends with my brother and dad and closer with them than me.
Well,
but it's fine.
me, Tyler,
I
and
mean,
your
Renee,
dad were
I
bonding.
spent literally 8 innings of the Phillies game just talking to your dad the entire time.
fine,
And
guys.
I enjoyed every second of it, to
Totally
be quite
fine.
frank.
It's totally fine. Just take my family. Dave is saying how he eats sour cream with a spoon.
Oh, sour cream's another one I'm out on.
Oh,
Same type of thing.
I don't know why they ruined so many things with sour cream on top. Tacos and all that. Like, leave it. We don't need it. But you know what you do need? You do need to take advantage of our friends that make sure to prepare you for all of the high rates of the house buying process. That's our buddies over at Mortgage CS because rates are slightly higher, home prices are still rising, and Mortgage CS is still helping. They can help you get into a home before prices get even higher. They want to make sure they're helping, even with refinancing, to save money as rates drop. And who doesn't love that? The chance to either stay in the same house with a lower payment or get a whole new house for a great payment. And over at Mortgage CS, as values continue to increase, they want to make sure that you have 24/7, I say 25/8 customer service, where you can always get in touch with Ben and Alec over at Mortgage CS. You can reach out any time of day. If you want to talk to them about pudding, sour cream, and yogurt, if you want to talk to them about the Phillies winning and being the hottest team in baseball right now, you can reach out. Ben's phone number right there on your screen, bottom right corner, that you can reach out via call, text. You can email his phone number, 267-391-7425. You can also email ben@mortgagecs.com. And make sure to take advantage of the great customer service that they give. They empower, they educate you, they give you a lot of information, and really want to make sure to help you through the tough process of refinancing your home or buying a new home. So there's a reason that people win more. We like to win. The Phillies are winning. We love winning. We love seeing certain teams lose. Knicks, looking at you. And there's a great chance to win big with Mortgage CS. So call or text Ben now. Again, 267-391-7425 and see for yourself. You can also go to mortgagecs.com/PHLY to check them out and view their 350 plus perfect 5-star reviews. When you search Mortgage CS right now, there's a reason they've got those 350 plus 5-star reviews, and you can find out for yourself with our friends over at Mortgage CS.
Yeah, and if you want to get some action in the game with all those savings you're going to have from Mortgage CS, you can take it over to Bet Parks and try and make it bigger. Hopefully you had Xander Schauffele yesterday winning the PGA Championship. Those were some nice payouts. If you had Phillies live, let's say bottom 9 Saturday, you're in the stadium, and you think they're going to win, so you can hop on the live action on Bet Parks Sportsbook, you can get money in the moments. You got some events coming up today. Man City won the EPL yesterday. There's always a ton going on. You got Oilers Canucks tonight. And then in Padres Braves, hopefully the Padres can keep it going versus the Braves. White Sox Blue Jays, Mets Guardians, Diamondbacks Dodgers around the diamond tonight. But there's always something. If you want to get some action, you can win big with all-day action. Win your first $10 bet, and you can get $125 in sports bonus bets. You play for fun. You love to win. You bet with Bet Parks. Download the app and play along with us. Must be 21 or older. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah, Mickey's saying he lost a lot of money, a buttload this weekend. Sorry to hear that, Mickey. So you know what I'm also not sorry about, though? I'm sorry about you, Mickey, and I'm not sorry about the aging of the tweet. If we remember, way back in 2020, remember those days, guys, COVID, the pandemic, when we were sitting around inside and wondering if it was the end of the world? Well, during that time, we saw the Nationals in August 25th, to be exact, 2020, when they tweeted out, beating Philadelphia isn't as hard as Philadelphians say it is. And since then, that has aged terribly for the Nationals, and we love to see it. The Phillies have actually, since the beginning of the 2021 season, have a 41-16 record against the Nationals. Of course, with even yesterday's game to get the sweep. As mentioned, that's now 14 consecutive series this season that the Phillies have gone without losing. Of course, they've split some series, coward series, as Jamie, you always say. But just great to see another time where the game was close. It opened up final 4 innings. The Phillies scored 9 of their runs in the final 4 innings and really opened the game up. And at that point, pedal to the metal, never felt like it was over. And a big part of that was, yet again, the Phillies pitching. Wasn't a great day for Aaron Nola at times, but Sunday actually did mark the 3rd straight day and the 16th time this season that the Phillies have had a starter throw 7 or more innings. Aaron Nola, we saw Christopher Sanchez do it on Saturday, have been doing a good job because the Phillies had to get a little bit more taxed against the Mets, where they had 6 different relievers that they called out of the bullpen. Now, to have Aaron Nola be able to go into this game, he did unfortunately give up 2 homers in the first 5 innings, as we know, but did a steady job of keeping the Phillies in it. I think that's the biggest thing. We didn't have a big drop. We didn't have a big dip. And now, with that, Nola's ERA on the season, a 3.05 ERA with a 6-2 record. He's got a 3.93 FIP. Tyler loves this stat, a 1 WAR, and he's pitched 65 innings.
Oh, you want to talk WAR, Tyler?
Zach
No
Wheeler.
WAR.
You want to talk WAR?
WAR is out forever. We're never mentioning WAR on this show again.
Zach Wheeler also has a great ERA, as we know, with a 2.52 ERA, a 2.75 FIP, a 1.8 WAR, and has pitched 60 2/3 innings. And Ranger Suarez, a 1.37 ERA, a 2.72 FIP, a 1.8 WAR with his 59 innings pitched. The numbers that the top 3, the big 3, the juggernauts have shown have been remarkable. And as Nola said, it's crucial for them to have starting pitchers that can go deep into games. That's the biggest thing that they want. Their guys want to be able to do that. And they're not only going deep into games, but their numbers are backing it up as well. To have had such a tremendous start to the season. It's been fun to watch. And even when you have what we consider a drop-off game, which to be a drop-off game where you give up 2 home runs, walk third baseman Nick Senzel 3 times. That was annoying, actually. But just limited them to 2 hits and 3 runs over 7 innings. That's a drop-off. that's a game where you're kind of like, Aaron. But that's still a fantastic game. I mean, the problems that we have today are so much different than the problems that we've had in the past with the Phillies.
Yeah, Aaron, I was just looking it up as you were talking about it. Aaron Nola is now 29th in Major League Baseball in terms of ERA. And he was the guy that was struggling in the beginning. Christopher Sanchez is now below him with a 3.3. Oh, man. If that's our worst guy, I mean, I know Taiwan technically is. But, you know, of the guys that were there in the beginning, Spencer Turnbull. And then you just look, I'm on the ERA leader page. Zach Wheeler's 16th. Ranger Suarez is 2nd. It's really fun to go out there. You know, we talked about it last week, how tomorrow is going to be Ranger night, and you're so excited for Ranger on the level of being like a 1-2 around baseball that you forget all of a sudden it's 4, and Christopher Sanchez or Taiwan, however the order's going now, you just go, wow, we're back at Zach Wheeler before we know it. So when you stack series upon series upon series, you know, the offense has been great. They're leading Major League Baseball in runs scored, which seems wild after the first like 2 or 3 weeks of the season. But like you're going to win most series with how well this starting rotation is going because there's no breaks in it. If your one break is Taijuan Walker every 5th day, then okay. You know, like, and even he's got a probably, you know, 40 to 50% chance of having the Phillies in a position to win the game. So it's just like when you say 14 series in a row, it jumps off the page at you and you go, well, you know, bottom line is there's really not any breaks in this starting rotation.
And that's exactly it. I mean, the difference this year is there is never a time you're going into, like, I don't even feel like I have to look at who's starting. First of all, I know for the most part who's starting because their, you know, rotation's pretty set. Every once in a while it gets tweaked. But you don't even have to look because you don't have to worry. It used to be like a hold your breath moment of like, oh my gosh, who's next? Whose day is it? And then as you talk about, by the time you get back to Zach Wheeler, you're like, okay, let's keep it going. And it's been so phenomenal to see how well they've been pitching. And that's been what started this group off because the irony, as you mentioned, the Phillies leading the league in runs scored. When there was a time, the Phillies were, and I remember us sitting right in this studio,
256.
and they were the bottom of the league in almost every offensive category, including runs scored in the opening parts of the season because they, as we were talking about, the bats hadn't warmed up. They weren't scoring. It was a lot of 1, 2, 3 innings. They were struggling to even get over 5 runs scored in the first, I think it was like 16 games of the season, where the only game that we saw over 5 was the game that Bryce Harper had 3 home runs.
So they're
and
actually
now you
second.
Look,
ooh,
you
sorry,
know,
Philly.
how dare you be second?
The Dodgers have a plus 85.
Okay.
Phillies have a plus 80. The New York Yankees have a plus 79. So, you know, not even first. I mean, get it together, you scrubs.
But it is, you know, a complete change that's now we're looking at this group. It was the starting pitching that got things rolling for them. We knew the bats would heat up at some point. They're starting to do that. We're seeing the progression. And this past weekend, Aaron Nola showed, exactly as you mentioned, if he's the 3rd best currently right now, quote unquote, I say that with sarcasm, you know, that's a really good problem that he's having a 3rd best starting pitching season with a 3.05 ERA. Phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, and just looking at the standings and the run differential and all that. Best home record in baseball, it appears. One of the better road records, obviously. 8-2 in their last 10. I think that's the best in baseball. Yankees also 8-2. Like everything you look at, it's just fun to pull up the standings or stats leaders or whatever it is right now with the Phillies because you know, it's just really, really freaking fun. And you know, we were there Saturday night, Renee, and like I kind of got the feeling, and a little plug in for the golf scramble coming up. Love that. If you're a golfer, please check out that link. But like being at that game on Saturday, you just kind of got the feeling like, yeah, they're gonna do this. And the Nats are a good, young, kind of pesky team. This wasn't, I know the schedule talk and all that, but like the Nats battle, and they just went in there and just took it from them. And It's a really fun time to be a Phillies fan right now. We're very fortunate. It's almost like 2012 to 2020 didn't happen.
I know.
I can black those 8 years out finally.
Hypothetical Man's mentioning Aaron has thrown the most innings this season, and currently he has with that 65. And then also, I know it was mentioned in the chat. There's a lot going on in the chat, but the one that I wanted to hit on, Casper the Ghost was saying 3 guys on pace to throw 215 innings, which is wild. Aaron Nola was even talking about, this group and how exciting it is and how awesome it is that they've got what he feels like is the best rotation he's been a part of. And he said it's not just because of, how guys are able to go out there and compete, but also the pitchability of every single guy. And that's something I know we talked about it with Ranger, but we're seeing that with each of them where it's unpredictable. You don't know, for hitters, they don't know. Batters have no idea what's being thrown their way, literally. And, that's what's making it more consistent that the Phillies are able to go deep into games and to be a team that has 16 plus games of 7 innings or more.
Yeah, it's wild.
Is insane. And I know you had found the stats that Baseball Paul tweeted out. 16 starts of 7+ innings by the Phillies starters, which is one more than the rest of the NL East combined.
That's crazy.
And I know for anybody that wants to discredit what the Phillies are doing right now, keep going. We don't even care at this point.
Well, I think Aaron Nola was a little awful in that, saying it's the best rotation he's ever pitched with. Might I remind you of the 2017 Phillies rotation of Aaron Nola, Nick Pivetta, Jared Eichhoff, Jeremy Hellickson, Ben Lively, and Vince Velasquez?
Oh, we can get weirder. If you want to get weird, we can get weirder. How about 2015 or 2016 when you got starts from Jerome Williams,
the Junkyard Dog.
Who is it? The Fausto Carmona, but he was Roberto Hernandez by then, I think.
So I think Aaron's a little off there, okay, buddy? The best he's ever been a part of.
So I think we talked about this the other day. I got to try to get you those guys.
Where are you, Oz?
Well, we'll be here somewhere.
I was waiting. I don't know what I was waiting for
Oz,
first.
where
for
are
you
you?
to ask
There he
where
is.
you
We talked about
guys,
this
or
the
for
other
Tyler
day.
to.
They were 63 and 99 that
He
season
doesn't
in
get
2015.
creative with his pop-up, so he's just always in the middle.
They got starts from Jerome Williams, Aaron Harang,
Ooh.
Adam Morgan, David Buchanan,
Adam Morgan just sent chills down my back.
Sean O'Sullivan, Jared Eichhoff, Chad Billingsley, Severino Gonzalez,
Chad Billingsley, I forgot
Alec
about.
Asher, Kevin Correa, Dustin McGowan.
Oh, my God.
And 1 start from Philippe Almont.
The all monster. Wow.
And 20 starts from Cole Hamels, by the way. So you had that before they moved him.
So, Aaron Nola, relax with best rotation I've been a part of. You've been a part of some beastly rotations.
Some great. But I know, Tyler, you've got some numbers on Nola. Why don't you share with the good people?
You guys were talking about innings pitched, and obviously it's a pretty common stat at this point that Aaron Nola since 2020 has thrown the most innings.
Well, they talked about it a bunch during the contract process. You know?
I mean,
how important that was.
He is now at 715 and 2/3 innings pitched since the start of the 2020 season. You guys want to take a guess at who's number 2?
Oh, wow.
I can see it on the screen. Oh, number 2 overall.
The whole point was to play along with the game.
Garrett Cole?
No. He's 6th.
He's 6th.
Actually, I'm sorry, he's 7th. The whole point, Renee, was to play along with the game. They're not supposed to know at home that you can see the stat.
I didn't actually see it.
But that's what makes it better because
Oh, my goodness. We get paid for this?
Yeah.
We're professionals?
I just saw it now that you've taken the conversation.
That's what made it better
to it.
because I was like, I could literally see it on the screen. And
It's-
Jamie's like, thinking.
It's Zach Wheeler at 690 innings
Whoa,
pitched. Yeah,
how
crazy.
many?
Bum, bum, bum. 690.
Wow.
Taijuan Walker, by the way, is in the top 25.
Is he really?
564, yep.
I didn't know that one.
Wow.
But it makes sense, though.
They talked about it a ton when they signed Aaron Nola and, the durability aspect of him as a guy that can age well because he doesn't rely on overpowering stuff. And I forget which story I was reading, either The Athletic or NBC Sports Philly, so excuse me, but his last start, it was the complete game shutout. So it was the 9th inning, he threw a pitch that was 98.5 or 98.7 in the 9th inning, which would have been the hardest thrown ball he had the entire year previously. And he did that in the 9th inning. So, this is a guy, and they obviously paid for it and accounted for it, that they believe is going to age really well. Nothing about his game is really going to change. And the fact that he can throw his hardest pitch of a whole year in the 9th inning shows you this dude's, a workhorse.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, that's what is phenomenal. Like he's very steady. He's great with game management. Him and Zach especially do a really good job of not getting too high or too low and just staying very consistent. And to have those numbers that Tyler, as you were just sharing, the amount of innings pitched, that is also a huge positive, because how many times we watch games and opponents have to pull their starting pitcher 4 or 5 innings in, 3 innings in.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and now
Trevor
you're
Williams
taxing
was
the bullpen.
pitching well on Saturday, and Davey Martinez pulled him in
Exactly.
was that what did he go, 4 1/3 or 4 2, whatever it was. But then all of a sudden you have to get 6 bullpen guys
Exactly.
To all not screw you. And that's a hard thing to do.
That is. So right now, to see this, this core group be... What happened?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Is it in the chat?
No, it's something I just said.
I think I'm numb to you. What'd you say?
It wasn't even meant to be
Because I know you and Tyler are
perverse,
big
but Tyler
children.
gave me the look of, really? I said, when you're trying not to have all 6 bullpen guys screw you.
Oh.
So Tyler gave me the look of like,
Don't do
probably
that.
could have chose better words.
Yeah.
And if you're ever out there looking to choose better words, maybe a nice cold Miller Lite is there for you when you need it. I spent a majority of my weekend drinking some Miller Lites, and I had a DD, so that was lovely. Down at the Phillies game, which was awesome. And then I was staining and sanding the deck all weekend, and it was it's hard labor, and I just went, oh man, I am thirsty. Go to the fridge, get a nice cold Miller Lite, and it tastes exactly like a beer should taste. It's the original light beer since 1975, and whether you're at the ball game, doing work around the house with friends and family, whatever it may be, Miller Lite is there for you. And my favorite part is it's less filling. You're not going to get all bloated and that heavy feeling from those heavy micro brews and IPAs. It's just a light beer that tastes like light beer should. And only 96 calories. The original since 1975. You don't have to choose what's best, because Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. You can have Miller Lite delivered directly to your door by going to MillerLite.com/PHLY Phils, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than a premium regular beer.
Yeah, and also today we don't have a game, but tomorrow we'll be back ready for game time for the Phillies, and you can take advantage of getting some tickets. I know in the chat it was mentioned, I forget who said it, and I apologize, it was much earlier in the show, about wanting to get out to a game. Well, when you do want to go to Citizens Bank Park, make sure you use the GameTime app. I made the mistake of not using the GameTime app in the past, and when I showed up, I was fumbling. I happened to be there with my family. I won't tell you what game it was, but I was fumbling looking for my tickets, and I had to step to the side so I could find my tickets, and it was embarrassing because I wasn't ready at, the gates to be able to swipe and quickly get in.
Come on, Renee.
And with the GameTime app, I would have had no problems. I would have had, my Wi-Fi wasn't working, my internet my login wasn't working.
Oh, no.
But with the GameTime app, you don't have those problems because they have the ability for you, when you download the app, to have your tickets right there on your phone. Quickly click, quickly get inside so you can go enjoy the game. Yes, quick taps. And you can also browse with the GameTime app to find some really great prices. They've got lowest price guaranteed. They also have some great protection for you for your tickets if for any reason maybe you can't go. And then, of course, you get a chance to see the views from your seats at the venue for that game, concert, comedy show, whatever it is you're looking to buy tickets for with the GameTime app. So as we are preparing to continue to cheer on the Phillies in person and watch games, take the guesswork out of buying tickets to go to Citizens Bank Park with GameTime. You can download the GameTime app, create that account, use code PHLY to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Again, that is PHLY. When you create an account, that you use that code PHLY, get you $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute deals, lowest price guaranteed. All right, I know in the chats you guys have finally caught on to Jamie's raunchiness.
That was an unintentional one. Sometimes Tyler catches me.
Frank Barber mentioned, there was a time you had to pay for SiriusXM just to get a show this raunchy. Jamie's doing a good job of keeping the perverted comments going. But yes, as
you never
Casper
won
the
6
Ghost,
bullpen guys screwing you.
As Casper, okay, you said it again.
Some
as
people
Casper
might be into that.
Yeah, we're getting worse. As Cashman the Ghost mentioned, as we know, pitching wise, Taiwan, one of his strengths is someone that can, pitch deep into the game with 172 and 2/3 innings a year ago. You've got Spencer Turnbull, who we've seen now in the bullpen, that, as we know, as a starter, had a 1.67 ERA across 32 and a third innings. We talked about the success of the big three, and then even Christopher Sanchez, as you mentioned, with that 3.31 ERA, has been a solid pitcher as well. So great problems on the pitching side, and the bats have heated up, guys. We've been waiting. Well, not as much recently because it's been now the expectation. But we've been always waiting to see kind of who's going to be next to break out. And this past weekend, it was Kody Clemens that had big plays. But a few other guys we got to hit on. You talked about Nick Castellanos. Sunday, finally did get to see him break through. That Nick Castellanos was able to deliver. It's been a slump for Nick. We've obviously talked about the fact he is the right fielder, the everyday right fielder. There's really no other option there. And for him to, he's been hit by a pitch in recent games, twice actually. Then this past weekend did help get the Phillies on the scoreboard by driving in. It was Kody Clemens, actually, that scored off of his hit. So good to see him get an RBI. Good to see Nick Castellanos have a moment to help contribute offensively to the squad this weekend. And he's been one that's working through it.
I mean, look, the reality of the situation is he's not going anywhere.
Nope.
I know somebody in our Discord channel was like, well, just DFA Castellanos. And I was like, come on. That's not happening. You're not going to trade him. Most likely because it's not an easy trade to pull off. You'd have to eat a lot of money, give up some prospects, maybe even on top. So he's here. So the best case for all Phillies fans is he gets through it to the other side and becomes Blastianos again, at least for a short period of time. He is what he is. If he's your 7-hole hitter when you have a full, healthy Phillies lineup, that means you have a really good lineup. I understand, I've seen the Tobias Harris, Nick Castellanos comparison that he's the Phillies Tobias Harris. I don't think it's quite that bad because Tobias fell off a cliff. I don't think this is the cliff falling off for Castellanos.
I hope not.
It is what it is. I think he's going to be better. The thing with him is you just hope he's hot in the playoffs. But even then, we saw it in the Atlanta series. He was in fuego, and then the Diamondback series, not. So you have to live and die by it with him, and that's what it is.
Yeah. Well,
but he looks good.
I was going to say, after 3 straight games without a hit, he did get 3 hits, so he made up for it, I guess, mathematically. He did get 3 hits in his 4 at-bats yesterday. He does still have, on the season, 4 home runs, 19 RBIs, and a 207 average with a 5.76 OPS.
207.
So Nick Castellanos has been one of the slumping areas for the team, but when you look at how well throughout they've been playing consistently, it's been great to see. There are some numbers I have for you on Bryce and Kyle, but first, Alec Bohm we saw with 5 RBIs on 2 sac flies and a 3-run homer. Alec Bohm continues to lead the league in RBIs, 42 RBIs for Alec Bohm, hitting a 330 for the entire season. Alec Bohm's been fantastic, and it's now become the expectation for Alec Bohm that you think, okay, when he's up to bat, something's good is going to happen, especially with runners in scoring position. He's actually thrived with runners in scoring position. Bryson Stott's been another one, extending his on-base streak to a career-high 18 games.
He's back, baby.
He's back. And yet again, guys, I do have to say, Tyler pointed this out and may or may not have caught this. Bryson Stott was up to bat, and I made the mistake of deciding at that time to go to the bathroom again on Saturday.
So to go back to the
Oz,
the playoff game, the game against the Marlins.
Where's that voice coming from?
Renee was
right here.
Renee was out of her seat for the Bryson Stott Grand Slam, and then on Saturday,
I did.
She's ready to be out of her seat again, and Bryson Stott hit the home run. And I said, "Listen, Renee, if you're
stop, or maybe she should continue this.
If you're at the ballpark when you know Bryson Stott at like turn of the half inning, when you know Bryson Stott's coming to the plate, you're gonna have to vacate your seat."
So you guys saw my bathroom strategy at Citizens Bank Park in action. Did you see?
I watched you sprint like a madman at the end of the game.
So, that, and thank God I did.
Your wife was so worried. She's like, "Where did Jamie?" And she just took off after you.
Well, because I figured you guys were going to be celebrating. I gave my high fives and sprinted down. got my choice.
Jamie running away from us, Tyler? No,
I got
never.
my choice of urinals. And then by the time I left, the line was already out past the beer line. So like you have to be strategical, and I always like the aisle seat.
Strategical.
Yeah. I always like the aisle seat. And as soon as the third out happens, pew, I'm gone. And usually I get right in, and by the time I leave, there's a huge line. So you can't wait in the lines. You have to be strategic. And you were, but it cost you.
I don't like lines, so I definitely try to time
lines.
it. I hate lines.
I'm very impatient.
Had some line issues. And then also, I was not on the aisle because I got put on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I also had to choose, like, do I go to the right or the left? Mm-hmm. Like, I was kind of climbing up and down the chairs. And so I couldn't run as fast as you. I had to climb and run. You know, but I'm selfless. What can I say? Every time I go.
That was a rowdy section. People were in, like...
person in front of us.
There was one person...
People were getting into it.
There was one person in particular in front of Renee and I who was...
yelling.
Really shouting obscenities.
Yes. The tweens were.
But I don't know
I don't
why...
think she had any understanding of who she was shouting at. I think she was just shouting. Because
at one point, she shouted at
Brandon Marsh was up on the Jumbotron, and she's flipping him the bird. And me and Renee are like, what is happening?
Maybe she's got some history with Brandon Marsh outside of baseball we don't know about.
Was she a Phillies fan?
She was wearing Philly stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking maybe she bumped into Brandon Marsh at Xfinity one night and isn't happy. I don't know. Because it was giving, like, bitter... Like, and at that point in the game, I think it
Who
was
doesn't
still...
like Brandon Marsh?
Well, like I said, depending on where, you know...
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was
I don't
odd.
think it was a Brandon Marsh thing specifically. I just think
she was so drunk she thought it was a national.
She was just mad at the world.
She was literally just flipping off everybody.
Yeah.
So I won't say it
People
was a
were
Brandon Marsh
crunked up.
thing.
And Addie even said it to me when we get home, because when we usually go, it's typically Sunday day games for the girls' schedule. We try to do as many day games as possible because kids are annoying. We don't really go to Saturday night games ever.
Ooh, it was rough.
People were crunked up in that stadium on Saturday.
Yeah,
it was quite a scene up there in the 400 level.
I saw a lot of things. In the bathroom, there was a lot going on.
We were effectively in the equivalent to the 700 level.
Oh yeah.
So I mean,
but people were partying.
Yeah, they were.
And and it was a younger partying, not 700 level bare-chested old men.
Well, we
partying.
showed up to our seats and had to like vacate an entire group because I guess they just either didn't have seats
and
or
the
weren't
one
in
kid
the right seats.
recognized me and started talking. He's like, "Oh, it was pretty."
We're
funny.
like, "Hey, you're in our entire row. Please move."
It was a good time.
Oh,
Thanks to Olipop again for making that happen with Cavs Catering on Saturday. We had a blast.
All right. Well, are you ready for some numbers?
I like numbers.
Okay.
Hit me.
So, all time against the Nationals. We'll start with Bryce Harper. Since 2019, when joining the Phillies, of course, Bryce Harper is hitting a .309 with 20 doubles, 17 home runs, and a .984 OPS in 75 games against the Nationals, according to Baseball Reference. His career OPS is a .911. So he's does a pretty good job.
911. Not for me.
Pretty good job. Okay.
That was a meme joke, Renee.
No.
You don't know that meme? That's a shame. The old man, and he's like, call 911, and then he pulls a gun on the guy, and he's like, but not for me.
Oh no,
You don't know
seen
that meme?
one.
All right.
Wow.
My
Not
brain's
as cool
a lot
as
of
you.
dumb memes
I guess I'm
going
not
on.
as cool as you are, JB. And then since 2022, when Kyle joined the Phillies, he's hitting a .289 with 17 home runs in 37 games against the Nationals. That's an average of .46 home runs per game against the Nationals. The highest average of home runs per game ever is a tie between Mark McGwire and Aaron Judge at .31 with a minimum of 500 games played. That was according to StatMuse. So Schwarber
Love StatMuse.
is pretty good against the Nationals as well as Harper just getting home runs.
When you think about the Nationals and the Phillies are 48-19 since that tweet. And by the way, I tweet at them annually to remind. I mean, other
I
people
did too.
Yeah. It's
For
just
sure.
like,
You
hey,
have
did you
to.
guys remember
make
this
sure
tweet?
you go. Yeah, remind the Nationals.
That the Nationals core was once Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Juan Soto, Bryce Harper. I mean, Anthony Rendon was good there. Before he became
insane.
California Rendon. Like, to think that was their core.
That team that
is
won the World
wild.
Series that year, they have one player left. Well, one position player left from that group. and it might be the worst player of the entire 9.
Who is
Victor
it?
Robles is the only player
wow.
left from that group, and
It's
he hit
wild.
9. He's a good defensive center fielder.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong, but he hit 9th on that team. He's not a very productive hitter. And, obviously Zimmerman retires, Harper moves on, Rendon moves on. There was, factors that caused
Sure.
the kind of crumbling of the foundation. But that he's the only one left from
That's
the starting 9.
unbelievable.
That group-
Thank you, Nationals.
That group, man. You just look back and you shake your head.
I know, it
There's like
sucks.
certain teams.
It kind of sucks for Bryce they won right after he left
I
because
know.
he's so good.
I feel for him.
Yeah, it kind of does suck. Like if you're him,
I do.
that's gotta
Literally
hurt.
leave and they win. Like
Yeah.
that hurts.
That hurts,
That
yeah.
hurts a little bit. But it is their loss and our gain.
By the way, about Bryce, I wrote this down on the sheet because I saw it yesterday when they flashed it. Now, we've seen Bryce Harper be hot for short periods of time. Like he had the one game with 3 home runs. He had another grand slam. Like he's given you short bursts, but it hasn't been like a sustained greatness yet. Somebody flashed it yesterday on Twitter, and I forget who, but it was the top 10 RBI leaders around baseball, and they put it out because Alec Boehm is now first in baseball with 42, which is unbelievable. I think he's hitting like 331, all that. But 8th is Bryce Harper, and like it doesn't even feel like we've gotten the extended greatness from him yet, and he's still top 10 in baseball. It's unbelievable.
It really is. I mean, for him to at this mark of the season have 10 home runs, his numbers, he's got a 2.73 average and an 890 OPS. And as you mentioned, 35 RBIs, which is tied for 8th. He's quietly right there. It's like he's
when he does
pacing
get
himself. And I'm saying pacing in the sense of like a track meet. Like you pace yourself behind the front. And you see it in car racing too. You're pacing yourself behind
Waiting
the
for the
lead car and you're
straightaway.
waiting. Yes. I feel like Bryce Harper right now is almost like, I don't think he's intentionally doing this, but it feels like everybody else is shining. And
But
Bryce is just lurking along,
I feel like
continuing
June,
to get
you're
RBIs.
gonna get Bryce and Schwarber just
Because
like
it is
playing
such
out
a
of
long
this
season, and you're
out
going
of
to
this
need,
world.
you're going to need guys that are stepping up at the right times. And I think Bryce right now, like I think he's one that also just thrives more when needed.
Sure,
And right
He's very
now,
clutch.
he's not. He's getting you good hits here and there.
But to see he was 8th, and I was just like, wow. Like, it's a quiet 8th in baseball. You know what I mean? It's been like a couple great games. And then I feel like he's been atypical Bryce for like a majority.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when him and Schwarber, because Schwarber dipped after his hot start, in June, Schwarber's going to become the Hulk again. And if Bryce adds to that, then it allows Trey and Sosa and the guys that have stepped up in this absence to kind of, have some pressure off of them. And maybe Boehm hits his cold streak. This team seems to be swapping hot and cold streaks.
What's 35 times 2, Jamie?
It's
quick
70.
math.
70.
Last season, Bryce had 72 RBIs. He's already around the halfway point of his RBIs last season, and it's mid-May.
Well, yeah, the injury he missed.
Well, yes, correct,
Yeah.
correct. Okay, obviously.
But he's on a pace,
but that,
35.
No, that
he's
was,
on a pace to be over 100 RBIs.
That's the most RBIs he's had, one of the most RBIs he's had in the last, 4 seasons.
Yeah.
So even with the injury,
Wait, last year?
Yes.
What?
Yes, Bryce had 72 I'm looking at it.
I know.
You don't believe me.
I
He had
wanna look at
72
it
RBIs
myself.
last season. He had 65 in 2022. He had 84 in 2021. Of course, 2020 was COVID, so he had 33 then. And that 72 is around kind of his average. He's an
Wow, yeah, you're-
80 to 90,
I mean,
RBI guy.
He had the 114 his first year here, which was the career
Right.
high. And
Like
then
2018, 2019, you got a total of 214 RBIs from Bryce in
Yeah.
those 2 seasons. But his numbers hover around 85 to 95. And last year, even with the injury, he had 72 RBIs. So when you look at the last 2 seasons, and he didn't
Yeah.
even have a full year last year, and how he's starting off this year.
he had 546 plate appearances, which is actually more than I would have guessed for last year. Because remember, he came back
Yeah.
so freakishly early, so it's even more at bats.
Right.
But you're right. Like he's probably gonna have his, if nothing happens here, he's gonna have a shot at a career high in RBIs.
Yeah.
And most likely finish second in his career for RBIs. The 114 his first year here, and the year before he left DC, he had 100. Other than that, there's a 99, an 86, an 87. Those were Nationals numbers, an 84 here. So yeah, he's on pace to go over 100, and hell yeah.
Right. I mean, even that's the thing when you look at last year without having a full season coming back from injury and how we start off this season, it absolutely feels like he is just, it's become the norm that you don't even look at it as like, oh, Bryce is hot right now. He's rolling. No, he's not. He's actually just coasting along, but his numbers are still really good in that 35 RBI, 10 home run start to the season he's had. So great to see Bryce Harper just quietly, consistently doing his thing. And hopefully, as you mentioned, I think June, July, we're going to get him really.
And then Schwarber too. Like, just go look at Kyle Schwarber's splits by month. It's unbelievable. And he's been really good this year. You know, like him not being in the field, I think is showing benefits on his knees. He's quicker. His bat speed you talked about last week is the best in baseball. And come June, whatever the hell it is with Kyle Schwarber, and he can't explain it, he goes on a tear. And he usually is up there leading Major League Baseball in home runs for a month. And I feel like Bryce is going to have that sustained run. And if his, not sustained is 8th in baseball in RBIs, you could be looking at a top 5 RBI producer this year in Bryce potentially.
Yeah, I know in the YouTube chat right now we've got Frank Barber was saying the same thing. We still haven't even gotten to see June Schwarber yet.
Yeah.
That is the exciting thing about this. For everybody that's tuned in right now on YouTube, on Twitter, of course, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up on YouTube while you're tuned in.
We love you.
Because it's been so great every day when we're on the show, live at 11 a.m. or post-game shows, whatever it is that we're doing, that we're saying the same things. It's like we're constantly tooting the horn of the Phillies because the numbers, the records, the things they're achieving in the start of the season is incredible. Again, 14 consecutive series that the Phillies have now gone without losing.
20
and I
games
wonder,
over. That's wild.
I hate to even say this because you've got the Rangers coming up who actually have dropped, I think it was like 7 of their last 10 games.
Well, didn't they get swept by the Rockies?
Yes. They just lost a series to the Rockies. I'm actually looking at the schedule like, how long can this streak go on?
Well, the question
now, it's fluky in baseball.
Is Major League Baseball bad or are the Phillies great? I think it's a combination of the two.
Correct. That's a good question, though.
But, I think generally, the AL is better than the NL this year in terms of, record and teams above 500 and all that. But generally, the National League is meh. I mean, you have if you remove the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Phillies from it, you're looking at, some meh baseball, but sign of a good team, they're beating up the meh team.
Well, and the one thing you guys brought up with the Rangers, we do have to keep in mind, not that it's like the end-all, be-all because you got to play with what you've got, but the Rangers are kind of horribly injured right now.
Yeah, I know.
Sure.
I mean, between Josh Young being on the IL, Wyatt Langford being on the IL, DeGrom and Scherzer obviously have not come back yet. Cody Bradford started the season.
Are they in rehab assignments, either of them?
I believe that...
I think I read recently.
I believe that Scherzer is.
Okay. Yes, I believe you're right.
But I don't think either of them are close. I think Scherzer was in talks of maybe like a late June, early July appearance.
So Jacob DeGrom is throwing from 90 feet.
Oh, he is throwing now.
Yeah, from his throwing from 90 feet. Yeah.
So what about Scherzer? Maybe I had them flipped.
No, I believe you're right on Scherzer.
But either way, so
they're not at full strength.
Bradford started the year really strong. He's on the IL. They've Nate Eovaldi just went on the IL a couple days ago. Dane Dunning went on the IL a couple days ago. You got to play with what you've got, but there is some merit to saying, okay, the Rangers are kind of banged up right now. I don't expect them to be a hovering 500 team for the entirety of the season, especially once they get healthy.
Still no clear timeline on Scherzer. He is playing catch, so not in rehabs yet. So neither in rehabs. But yes, it'll be good to have a solid team coming in. And look, the Nationals are solid, and the Braves went out on Sunday Night Baseball and got embarrassed by a sub-500 team. Where's the discourse on that, Well,
the discourse is what it should be. It's one game.
The Phillies sent them under 500. Pow!
Well, here's my usual update on the over 500 teams, because as we're talking about it, the Phillies do have what some may say one of the easier schedules to start, but they actually have one of the 13th easiest schedules to finish as well. It doesn't get much harder for the Phillies. Of course, there is a stretch where they do have a number of West Coast series, But there are 5 teams over 500 in the NL currently. I don't include the 500 mark because you're not over 500, you're at 500. So there are 5 teams over 500 in the NL. Of course, the Phillies are one of them currently with that
Braves,
beautiful
Dodgers.
708 winning percentage. But yes, the Braves are at a 619. The Brewers at a 587.
It's the Rhys Hoskins effect, Tyler.
At a 542. Oh boy.
The Cubs are good.
And the Dodgers, of course, at a 653. But then in the AL, there are 7 teams over 500 currently.
The damn Yankees in my prediction of missing the
Yankees,
playoffs is not looking so hot, huh?
and it's not.
Should I
Jamie.
expose myself on that one? Oof.
It's a long season, but I don't think that they're going to miss the playoffs. They're sitting at 33
They
and
look pretty
15.
safe.
Yeah, they're actually one of the few teams that have over 30 wins coming into today.
And they're going to get Garrett Cole soon.
Who would have predicted this part, though? With the Phillies at 34 wins, they're the only one of 2 teams, of course, in the NL that's over 30 wins, the Dodgers being the other one with 32. There are also 2 teams in the AL with over 30 wins. Guess those teams.
Wait,
2 teams in the there's 2 teams in the NL and 2 teams in the AL with over 30 wins on the season coming into today on Monday.
The Yankees and
Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore.
It's not Baltimore?
The Royals?
It's not Baltimore. They have exactly 30 wins. They're 30 and 17. They've won 6 of their last 10. The Guardians have 30 wins on the season so far.
Well, I guess my Yankees cold take survives because of my Guardians Fire Flames take.
Fair. I'll give you that.
I balanced out there.
I'll give you that. And
Emmanuel Clase is not going to be on the trading block this year, huh?
No. So as we are wrapping up, when you look ahead for the Phillies with 34 wins on the season, they of course play the Rangers this week at home. They play the Rockies again for a weekend series. Then the Giants again coming up. You know, the Phillies, this series, unbeaten streak should and could very well continue. The Brewers, that Brewers series might be the most challenging series they've got coming up. That's the first week of June. So as you mentioned, is it that the Phillies are this good? Or is that baseball has maybe a separation?
Combination of the
top
2.
teams of Dodgers, Phillies, Braves, Yankees, Orioles, Guardians, Brewers, and then maybe there's a gap is what it's feeling like to me.
Yeah, the Rangers will probably be there at the end of the year, I would imagine, once they get healthy, and a couple others. But yeah,
there's some others that are in that like middle spot that should
and here's the beauty
climb
of
the table.
Potentially stacking a 15th series on the 14 game or series streak. Ranger Suarez starts game 1. So, like, if they have a chance to win game 1, which they've done at a phenomenal clip this year, like, you're probably looking at 15 series in a row. I fully expect that cute, adorable man to go out there and get you game 1. So, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think it might be 15, 16, 17, 18 in a row before they fully might have that, before I get a little nervous against the Brewers, because it's Rangers, Rockies, Giants,
But the Brewers
Cards.
is here. Right, in Philly?
That is here. There's
Best
the X
home
factor.
record in baseball, folks.
So going into the London series, the Phillies could get even better from here. So we'll see. We will see. It's exciting times.
And that series right there is the one where I will agree with Jamie. That one doesn't count. That might as well be an exhibition series.
Oh, the London series?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a 2-game.
It's not like the Mets are going to beat
London,
the Phillies.
Well,
series.
it's one home game, one road game.
Yeah.
It's a weird dynamic.
Yes.
You kind of already won those series.
Yeah, I mean, so you went.
You definitely won
You
one.
went 3-1.
Yeah.
In the
so you
4-game
won one of
series.
the home and home. Now you just have to win the Mets home game, and you took both series.
I mean, I think you're kind of convolutedly playing that.
You know
to
what's
make it work.
convoluted? Going to London for baseball games.
All right, fair.
All right. Well, with a day off today, of course, tomorrow we'll be back live 11 a.m. talking about the Phillies, previewing the first game of the Ranger series. We know Ranger Suarez will get the start.
Should I get a Ranger like Zorro mask for Ranger Day? And I'll just do the show.
Like fully lean in.
Yeah.
To Ranger Day. Yeah. I mean, you love Ranger.
Maybe I'll get a Zorro. Yeah. Maybe I'll get a Zorro mask.
It's currently looking like it's going to be, it is Ranger Suarez, and John Gray will most likely get the start for the Rangers tomorrow. And so it only goes up from here. Exciting times for everybody that's tuned in. Again, our usuals, as well as our new followers, new viewers. Happy to have you here on PHLY Phillies podcast. This week we have Obviously, we were live at 11 today, live at 11 tomorrow. Wednesday, we will be live at 11 as well. And
Yes.
then Thursday's a watch-along.
Hell yeah.
Where you guys get a chance to watch the Phillies game with us. That'll be a final game for the Rangers series that will be live with you guys right here on YouTube or Twitter where you guys can watch. And then we also have a post-game show on Friday as well. So watch-along Thursday, post-game Thursday, post-game Friday, and it should be more victory shows for us,
and John
hopefully.
Foley's going to be here in studio with us tomorrow. Looking forward to that. I think we'll talk to Jim Salisbury on Wednesday this week. So good time. It's just fun to be a Phillies fan right now. You know, like it's just great. It really is. So enjoy this ride. It's now somehow already Memorial Day, Renee. So the summer's about to begin, and we have a lot of good baseball ahead. It's pretty damn cool.
Woo-wee. Frank did mention about you guys' fantasy teams.
Oh, I put up a monster number this weekend.
What's that, Renee? Back-to-back losses? How's
2
that?
losses in a row. How's it feel,
my
Renee?
team stinks, but I get to do this.
I got
because
Paul Skeens now. How's it feel, Renee?
You went out and peacocked for the last
By the
4
way,
weeks.
Paul Skeens.
Ooh.
Kid's great.
Ooh. Oh, my gosh.
That is
Paul
filthy.
Skeens is really good. Okay, my team had... Since
work to
Frank
do?
asked, Frank Barber did ask, I have to give the people what they want. I can't ignore your questions,
Reset
even
the
as
clock,
we are.
Tyler.
But it's
0
not my
days.
fault. It's not me. It's not me. It's you.
Yeah.
I did lose back-to-back weeks, so being the true tough, hard ass GM that I am, I had to make some cuts.
Oh, yeah.
Jesse Winker's one of them.
Bye.
Sorry, you're out of here. I got rid of some guys.
He had a home
And because
run on
also my
Saturday,
team,
too. Maybe that
I
could have helped
know.
you.
I did get that home run in,
Okay.
but I still lost. But I feel like Ronel Blanco's suspension was, when your team's winning, they're going to check your guys a little bit closer. We've been winning so much in fantasy that apparently they had to check one of my pitchers. He did have some sticky stuff. He is suspended. So ever since then, my team's taken a dip. But I made some cuts,
I'm
and
sure
we will be
everybody
back.
out there is really concerned.
I know, guys. Fantasy baseball team. My team is still 3rd in the league, by the way. Despite that, so
That's great. At
That's
least,
how great we are. We
you're
lost
not Bo
back-to-back
Wolf,
weeks.
who is. Did he win this week? I assume not.
We are the Phillies. My team is the Phillies of our fantasy.
Yeah, I think
team.
Bo's in the
I'm
other
just
league.
gonna
I don't
claim
think he's
that.
won a game yet. That's a
gonna
tough
just claim
look.
that.
But Zach Berman's doing really well. By the way, we're all huge Padres fans tonight. Good pitching matchup with the Braves. Ronaldo Lopez and his 1.34 ERA versus Dylan Cease and his 2.45 ERA. So let's go Padres. Let's get a 6-game lead in the division. Well, 5.5. No, because the Phillies have more games played. So
Yeah, sure.
I think they have like 3 or 4 more games played than the Braves.
Yeah, it's a 5-game lead, and the Phillies do have. Yeah, they've played 48
Because of the stupid London series.
Right. Either way, keep losing Braves.
Let's go,
keep
Dylan
winning
Cease.
Phillies.
I've always believed in you.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in on Twitter and YouTube. We appreciate you guys. As always, make sure you're subscribed to our show on YouTube and following us on Twitter to keep up with all that we are dropping, sharing the new episodes, the live shows that are coming your way every day, as well as checking out John Foley and Jim Salisbury's writing covering the Phillies on allphly.com. As always, we appreciate you. Send some positive vibes my way because Tyler and Jamie's fantasy teams won and mine did not, and I need all the support and condolences and encouragement
I was the
can
high
get at this
scorer of the
time.
weekend, too. No big
and
deal.
Have a great rest of your Monday. We'll be back live 11 a.m. to preview Ranger Suarez and the Phillies preparing to take on the Rangers and extend their consecutive unbeaten series streak. See you guys next time.
We all silly like the mayor.